you spoke about how a few years ago, you didn't really even have the soft skills to communicate, even though right now I feel like we're having a great, wonderful conversation. What would you say are some tidbits especially for people, within IT? I think there's that mindset of like people who are in tech are just like these geeky nerds who are just always on a computer and such. What advice would you share for someone who wants to just further develop their soft skills mainly in communication, whether or not they want to be a manager, but just being a more effective communicator?
That's a great question. I think, I believe, in my opinion, I think, there are some of us, some of us, it's easier for us to be extroverted than introverted. Some of us are more introverted. I would never say an introvert needs to become an extrovert. It's more of, hey, you're like, how can you work on your weaknesses where you can get them high enough level where you could do better work, right? You could do better, you can get better outcomes. And I think if you want to work on your communication skills, you got to be very comfortable meeting new people and talking to new people. You got to be, you just got to keep doing it. And for me, that's how it came. Like, you have to meet people. You have to have conversations. You have to, me and you, we've never had a long conversation before. This is our first long conversation, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to be comfortable with having long conversations with people you've never met, getting to know people, asking deeper questions. I think to sharpen your communication skills, you have to meet new people. You have to practice, right? You have to practice your communication skills by talking and meeting new people. And number two, you have to read, right? Reading is fundamental. You have to read. And number three, it's part of number two, but study great communicators. Study great communicators. Who are the most dangerous and most competent communicators that you know of, right? Look it up. There are people who are world-class communicators. If it's hard to find any executive who's not working on their communication skills all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's hard to find any sales professional who's not working on a competent sales professional, work on their communication skills. So if you really want to improve your communication skills, it's something you have to practice. And the way you practice that is by reading, meeting new people all the time, and studying great communicators, in my opinion.
Okay, absolutely. And I want to make sure, can we go a little over? Is that okay? Or
yeah, that's fine.
We're good on time? We're good on time? Yeah. Okay, great. So then what books would you recommend, or even communication role models have you tend to observe throughout your communication development? And it could be, it could be a parent, like, because I try to think about that myself. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like the best. I was naturally like the best communicator, but I think observing, whether growing up, whether it was parents or observing, family members or friends, I think that personally helped me as well. Just come out of my shell a little more and just be a more effective communicator. So it could be anyone for you, really, like that you just think right away, wow, I think they're a really great communicator. And yeah, also, what books you recommend?
For sure. I think for me, I'd say my dad's a great communicator. My dad's communication skills are razor sharp. He knows how to read the room, and he knows exactly what to say at the appropriate time. My dad, love my dad. Yeah, he's a great communicator. And I would add people that I watch who are excellent communicators. Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan's one of the best communicators out there. He knows how to communicate. He knows how to be quiet, interview people, and listen. He just knows how to talk to people very well. I'd say Jocko Willink. Willink, Navy. So you're familiar with Jocko, yes?
Yeah, I got his book right here. Discipline Equals Freedom.
Yeah. I'd say
love Jocko Willink. He's great. Definitely a big role model for me personally. So if you haven't heard of Jocko Willink, please go check him out. Even if you don't read his books, just check out some of his content. It'll be definitely very life-changing for sure.
Yeah, he's a life-changing person. That's just the type of guy he is. And his communication skills, I mean, you've seen it, like his communication skills during our podcast discussion with his speeches, the way he carries himself, it's very like razor sharp. Like he's very comfortable communicating to large groups of people like it's nothing.
Absolutely. He's so articulate, and just like today we are going to execute this.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll take up like that pause, and he just like,
Yep.
he just like, all eyes are on him. He can take 30 seconds to just say 2 words, and it's just like, he'll still grab your attention, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He's just that type of person. And, you know, I think Jocko's books, all of Jocko's books, I recommend. You know, if you want to improve your communication specifically, I would say it's the book with Leif Babin. It was the leadership book. I forget the title.
Yes.
It was right after Discipline Equals Freedom. It was before the dichotomy of leadership.
I was thinking of that one. Okay. So
it was right before that. They had two.
Before the dichotomy of leadership, Jocko Willink. Hold on, I can look it up. Jocko Willink books. Extreme Ownership?
Yes, Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership. And I think that's a great book. You learn a lot of leadership skills, but also you learn as a leader why it's important to assess the situation before making an executive decision. You know, I think that and owning that decision as a leader, I think that's very important. I think being a good communicator and being in leadership go hand in hand. You can't be a great leader or competent leader if you can't communicate well. So I highly recommend Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
And even if you're not interested in reading, you know, just check out some of Jocko Willink's TED Talks. I know that there's a TED Talk he talks about extreme accountability, as he says, extreme ownership. So even if you know you don't want to put in a couple hours for reading, check it out. It's like a 20-minute video, you know, and definitely a lot of lessons in that video. So I second that as well.